It's written all over my face. My days and nights will be living. You go away.
A voice that once sang about love, pain, and healing has gone silent. Wayne Lewis, the co-lead singer and keyboardist of the legendary group Atlantic Starr, has passed away. The world lost a man whose songs helped shape an era, whose voice carried emotion so real that people could feel it deep in their hearts. His music wasn't just a collection of notes and lyrics. It was a reflection of who he was, soulful, honest, and full of emotion. And when the world came together to say goodbye to him, something unforgettable happened. Atlantic Starr performed at his funeral. It wasn't a glamorous show or a big production. It was a raw, emotional farewell. Each note carried sorrow. Every lyric felt like a personal goodbye.
Brother David and I used to sit in the window of the old house that we grew up in, and it used to be alcoholics. We called them, what do we call them back in then? Winos or whatever. We used to call them back in the day. And, of course, we were poor, living in that poor area. So they would come through our yard from another house and walk through our yard to get to another street. Wow. Which you shouldn't do, walking through somebody else's property. Yeah. But so many people had done it for so many years that they made a path.
The atmosphere was heavy. The band that once made people dance and fall in love was now singing through tears. It was more than a performance. It was a moment of truth, a final song for a brother, a friend, and the heart of Atlantic Starr. Wayne Lewis wasn't just another singer. He was the heartbeat behind some of the most beautiful and emotional R&B songs from the late 1970s and 1980s. As a lead vocalist and keyboardist, he shaped the sound of Atlantic Starr and helped define a golden age of soul music. Their songs had meaning. They spoke about love, heartbreak, and hope. Wayne believed that music should feel real, that people should hear it and recognize a piece of themselves in it. Songs like Touch a Four-Leaf Clover carried that exact energy. It was smooth, full of positivity, and deeply soulful. Wayne's voice and vision helped Atlantic Starr stand out in a crowded industry.
First of all, and I don't want to be negative, I'm only trying to track back to see what happened. And I think a lot of it is like it started to go to the streets and people started really expressing what's going on in the streets.
He had a gift, a way of blending rhythm and feeling so that the listener could sense both joy and sadness in a single line. His voice could sound gentle one moment and powerful the next. That emotional depth connected generations. Parents introduced his music to their children. Couples used his songs to celebrate love. And even years later, a single note of his voice could bring back memories, a wedding, a first dance, or a heartbreak. That kind of lasting impact is rare. Wayne didn't just make hits. He created timeless pieces of emotion that still live today. Before the fame, before the tours and awards, Wayne was just a boy with a dream and a piano in his hands. He grew up in White Plains, New York, a small, quiet place far from the flashing lights of the music world.
Like a dream. But it wasn't until we started performing live after making a record that that was the real fantasy and dream come true. I remember being at the Rose Bowl.
His musical journey began in the church. The sound of gospel surrounded him, giving him his first taste of rhythm and harmony. Gospel taught him faith, soul music taught him feeling, and jazz showed him how to explore. By the time he was a teenager, everyone around him could tell Wayne wasn't like other kids. He didn't just play music, he felt it. Wayne wasn't alone in his dream. His brother, David Lewis, shared the same passion. They practiced together, challenged each other, and built their sound side by side. Later, their brother Jonathan joined, turning their shared dream into something real. In the late 1970s, the three brothers officially formed what would become Atlantic Starr. They didn't have fame, big connections, or expensive equipment. What they did have was talent, determination, and a sound that came straight from the heart.
Where do you think the collapse happened? You know what I mean? Like what do you think happened between you, because you all, like you said, were musicians, right? And even still, you all are musicians, right? You guys, you all understand the actual music, students of the actual music. And now this is not saying that there's no one like that now, but you've been around music long enough to have seen the progression or to have seen the transition, I should say.
Right.
Those early days were tough. They performed anywhere they could, churches, small clubs, and local events, not for money, but because they loved the music. And that pure love for sound never left Wayne, even when fame finally found him. Breaking into the music industry wasn't easy. The group faced rejection after rejection. Record labels said their music was too slow, too emotional, or not commercial enough. But Wayne believed in their sound. He believed that people needed songs that made them feel, not just dance. Their first major success came with the song Circles. It was smooth, catchy, and soulful, a perfect taste of what was to come. Then came Secret Lovers, and everything changed. That song turned Atlantic Starr into a global name. You couldn't turn on the radio without hearing Wayne's voice. His emotional delivery made the lyrics feel real. When he sang about forbidden love and heartbreak, people felt every word. Soon after, Always was released, a song that became a global anthem for love. Couples played it at weddings. Families played it at anniversaries. Even funerals used it to honor love that never fades. Wayne's voice became a part of people's most important memories. But success came with pressure. Record executives wanted a more pop-friendly sound. They wanted the group to tone down the soul and emotion. Wayne refused. He fought to keep their music authentic, to protect the sound that made Atlantic Starr special. He didn't care about trends. He cared about truth. That truth was in songs like Am I Dreaming and Touch a Four-Leaf Clover. These weren't just hits. They were stories, emotional expressions that Wayne either wrote or brought to life with his voice. Fans could tell he wasn't pretending. He meant every word. Behind the scenes, however, Wayne was battling pressures few people knew about. Fame gave him a platform, but it also took a toll on his spirit. The long tours, endless studio sessions, and constant spotlight slowly drained him. Being a perfectionist didn't help. Wayne wanted every performance to be flawless. Even when he was exhausted or unwell, he refused to let his audience down. Life on the road can look glamorous from the outside, but it's often lonely. Wayne spent months away from his family, moving from one hotel to another, living out of a suitcase, and catching sleep between interviews and rehearsals. The physical and emotional toll started to build. He began feeling anxious, tired, and sometimes distant. But Wayne never complained. He didn't want sympathy. He just wanted to keep creating music that mattered. Balancing his career with his personal life was hard. He was a husband, a father, a brother, and the face of a beloved band. Whenever he went home, he tried to be present, to smile, to rest, but the demands of fame followed him everywhere. Through it all, Wayne continued to give the world his voice. Even when he was running on empty, he still showed up. He sang, smiled, and delivered performances that left crowds speechless. He carried the weight of his art with quiet strength. He suffered in silence so that the music could keep playing. When news broke that Wayne Lewis had passed away, the world was heartbroken. Musicians, fans, and fellow artists expressed their grief online. Many couldn't believe it. The man whose voice carried so much love was gone. His funeral was held in his hometown, White Plains, New York, where it all began. People came from everywhere. Family, friends, and longtime fans filled the church until there was barely space left to stand. You could feel the emotion in the air. Wayne's brother David gave a speech that brought everyone to tears. He spoke about their childhood, their bond, and their shared dreams. Wayne didn't just make music, he said, his voice trembling. He made moments. Other musicians followed, sharing stories about Wayne's kindness. Some talked about how he helped them early in their careers. Others spoke about the way his songs saved them during dark times. Outside, fans lined the streets. Some held vinyl records close to their chests. Others carried handwritten letters. Many just stood silently, letting the memories play in their minds. Wayne's music had reached far beyond fame. It had reached hearts. Then came the moment no one was prepared for. Atlantic Starr gathered on stage one last time. It wasn't a concert, it was a farewell. The stage was simple, just a piano, a few microphones, and the sound of quiet sobs. They started with Always. From the first note, the audience knew this was different. Each band member struggled to sing, their voices cracking with emotion. Tears streamed down faces, but they kept playing, because that's what Wayne would have done. Then they moved into Secret Lovers. The church grew silent, except for the sound of music and quiet crying. But then something completely unexpected happened. A recording began to play. It was Wayne's voice. Everyone froze. The song was unfamiliar, something no one had ever heard before. It was an unreleased track. Wayne's vocals filled the room, soft yet powerful, like he was right there singing with them. The band joined in, performing live alongside his recorded voice. The moment was beyond words. Some people stood, others knelt, and many wept openly. When the final note faded, the entire room rose to their feet in a long, emotional ovation. It wasn't for entertainment. It was for love, respect, and gratitude. After the service, people couldn't stop talking about that last song. The lyrics were haunting. Wayne sang about time, forgiveness, and peace. There was one line that broke everyone's heart. "If I don't get another chance to say goodbye, just know I tried." Fans were stunned. It felt like Wayne had left a message, a farewell he couldn't say in person. Some say the song was written months before his passing. Others believe he recorded it knowing his time was near. Music critics and longtime fans began analyzing every lyric. They noticed themes of closure, acceptance, and inner peace. It wasn't just a song, it was a confession, a goodbye wrapped in melody. Those who knew Wayne best said it sounded exactly like something he would do. He never liked dramatic farewells. Instead, he spoke through music. That was his truth, his way of leaving words that would last longer than he ever could. Wayne Lewis's death left a silence in R&B that may never be filled, but his voice continues to live through his music. From the soft piano of Circles to the timeless love of Always, every note carries his spirit. He gave the world more than songs. He gave emotions shape. He gave memories a soundtrack. He made people believe that love, no matter how complicated, was still worth singing about. For Wayne, music was never about fame or money. It was about truth. And in the end, that truth became his legacy. So when you hear one of his songs again, when the opening chords of Secret Lovers or Am I Dreaming start to play, remember that behind that sound was a man who gave everything he had to his art. And even though he's gone, his voice will never fade. Do you think Wayne's final song was his hidden goodbye? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more untold music stories.